Alrighty, guys, welcome to another live stream following what is it? What are we up to? Day 4 of free agency, where guess what? The Golden State Warriors did absolutely nothing. Yet again, here we are. I don't know. We're waiting patiently, but it's getting a little frustrating, obviously. But this time yesterday, we spoke for, an hour and 20 minutes it was on the Jonathan Kuminga situation and the Sacramento Kings' interest in the young Golden State Warriors forward. Well, now 24 hours on, we can talk about the Washington Wizards in regard to Jonathan Kuminga in this recent report as of an hour ago, basically, from Anthony Slater of The Athletic, who has some it's a shortish article, but it has some nice little tidbits here, including obviously the Wizards' interest in Kuminga. To quote Slater, he says, the Washington Wizards entered the mix in the last 24 hours, and the idea of Kuminga as a possible fit in Washington's rebuild has gained real momentum, according to league sources. No Cap is in the chat, says, cheers, mate. I don't want anything the Wizards have except for maybe Kispert. Well, if you are after Corey Kispert, then I think he would make the most sense. Now, this has only just come out. I haven't had a massive look yet at the Wizards payroll. We'll do that in a second. Because the other important thing to note here, which kind of took me by surprise, but then when you think about it, it makes a lot of sense. At the top of the article, Slater says, the Golden State Warriors, according to league sources, have been searching for a promising young player plus a first-round pick in return for Kuminga, should they ultimately choose to part ways with him in a sign-and-trade scenario. The Warriors want a promising young player and a first-round pick. So initially that, Mark says Denny. Denny's on the Trailblazers. We can't have him. Gucci says Alex Sarr. Joshua says Alex Sarr as well. Don't think we'll be getting Alex Sarr. Let's put that to bed, I would say. But first of all, I'm like, okay, this is a bit weird because it's a veteran team built around 37-year-old Steph, 35-year-olds Draymond and Jimmy. Why would you want a young player for a veteran team who's looking to contend, a veteran team who's looking to sign 39-year-old Al Horford at the moment? But when you think about it, with the complications of these base year, I think it would be a lot different if Kuminga was on a contract right now and they were just looking to trade him a la, Jordan Poole when he'd already got his extension and the Warriors traded him in 2023, where there was none of this base year compensation rules that currently allows the Warriors to only take back 50%. Therefore, if you're thinking of Kuminga getting 20 to 25 million per year, therefore the Warriors can really only take back 10 to 12.5 million. What veteran players are out there that make 10 to 12.5 million dollars or less? Like, what good veteran players who you'd be willing to give Jonathan Kuminga up for make that kind of money? Very, very little. Like, the pool of players is extremely small. And so if you're the Warriors and you want something of value, it basically has to be a player on a rookie contract. It does. That's why we spoke about regularly yesterday about Keegan Murray being the dream option for the Warriors because, again, he's on a rookie contract, $11.1 million final year of his deal next season. This is why it makes sense. And then in terms of the future pick scenario, well, the Warriors still kind of want to load up at any potential trade for Giannis down the track. We know they're going to have interest in that. So the more picks they have available to them, the better, particularly if it's a team that's towards the bottom and still rebuilding, like the Wizards, for example. Now, I'm sure the Wizards would want protections on there. I'm sure the Wizards aren't going to be giving up unprotected picks going forward here. Yes, they've got some talent, but still, I don't think they're in a position where they want to be giving unprotected picks up. But this is very interesting. The Wizards and their interest, and also what the Warriors want in a trade. I think it's also a case of, can the Warriors get a promising young player and a pick for Kuminga? Probably not. But this is them using the media, using Slater as a tool to tell everyone, hey, we really value this guy. You're going to have to put up a strong offer. We're not going to listen to any of the ridiculous deals that the Kings put up in terms of Dario Saric, Devin Carter, and 2 second-round picks, which Slater also notes here, confirms that was indeed on offer from the Kings, and the Warriors balked at what they felt was a buy low attempt. And I think we all thought that was rather ridiculous and we would have all lost the plot had the Warriors accepted that deal and that 3-team trade had gone down. So let's I'll get into some of your comments here and then we'll go from there. I won't be too long on this. I'll probably go for about half an hour or so. We might do one again tomorrow, depending on what happens in the next 24 hours. No Cap says Kobe White is the player if they want a promising young player. Well, he's interesting because he's not on a rookie contract, but yes, he is probably the one player not on a rookie contract who is also still young, and you would take in a Kuminga sign and trade. The Bulls. It's so looking at this from Slater, who also says the Miami Heat, Chicago Bulls, Milwaukee Bucks, and Brooklyn Nets have also registered varying levels of interest, league sources said. So yes, to me, it's clearly like the two players that have been, I think, the dream scenario here for weeks almost are Kobe White and Keegan Murray. They're the two from teams that have been linked to Kuminga. Now let's look at the Wizards payroll. I want to get this up very quickly here because they've obviously got a lot of young players, most of which they're probably not going to be willing to give up. It's very interesting. They've got a bunch of veteran guys now, but it's worth noting like Middleton, Marcus Smart, and CJ McCollum coming in. Obviously, the Warriors are not going to be, well, the Warriors probably aren't going to be interested in those guys anyway, but even if they were, that's financially not possible. So we can put a line through those guys. Too much says, doesn't sound like the Kings want to give up Keegan, mate. The problem is they don't want to give up Keegan, says Josh. Yeah, absolutely. Like I'm not saying that Keegan Murray is even a realistic scenario. Again, I can make the argument as to why it maybe should be, but again, I can understand that's coming from me as a biased Warrior fan somewhat, and from everything we've heard, the Kings aren't going to give up Keegan. I'm just saying what the dream is from a Warriors perspective, because there's no indication that the Bulls are necessarily going to give up Kobe for Kuminga either. I think Kobe White may be a little bit more realistic because there was that report day of the draft, I think, that said that the Bulls were in conversations around potential trades for Kobe and Lonzo Ball. And then obviously they dealt Lonzo in the end to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Gucci says the report says asking price is a young player with a pick. What if we ask for Alex Sarr with a lower pick? Well, we're not like Alex Sarr is a second overall pick from last year. And even if you want to say that's a bad draft and that Alex Sarr wouldn't have gone second overall in a normal draft, and like if Alex Sarr was in this draft, maybe he goes towards the end of the top 10, I'd be like, I feel like we probably shouldn't even be mentioning him as a player. Like he was an all-rookie team member in his rookie year. Yes, there's some absolute inefficiency worries with him. And I'm not like, yes, he would make some sense for the Warriors. He would make some sense from a long-term perspective. From a short-term perspective, would the Warriors get much use out of him and give him the opportunity to thrive? To me, it could just create another Kuminga situation, like where it's a young player who's talented, but really doesn't fit a veteran core. How much would the Warriors actually use him? The one thing I would say is that maybe Sarr's skill set, given he's a legitimate center, given he can theoretically stretch the floor. I mean, he averaged over 5 3-point attempts per game last season. Now, would he be doing that on the Warriors and being able to fire up 5 3-point attempts a game? Probably not. But I think we can put Alex Sarr a line through him. There's no way the Wizards are going to. If the Warriors got Alex Sarr for Jonathan Kuminga, I'd be shocked, and I'd also be confused because I'll be like, okay, what are the Warriors doing with him now? Like, he's incredibly talented, don't get me wrong. And yes, he's a center, so theoretically, he's a center who can shoot threes. So that's theoretically what the Warriors need. But again, he's like so raw. 13 points a game, 6.5 rebounds, 2.4 assists, 1.5 blocks a game in his rookie year. Those are good, but then you look at the percentages, 39.4% from the floor, 30.8% from three-point range. Not inefficient at all for a guy that's 7 foot tall. That's probably some of the worst numbers you've seen efficiency-wise from a 7-footer in history of the game, to be honest. So the Warriors can't afford that. Like, they're a team, like the Wizards can. They're rebuilding. They don't care about winning. The Warriors can't afford that. So I just have no idea how the Warriors would use him. It'd be intriguing. And I think just from getting like the best possible asset you could get back, absolutely. But I'm just going to move on, I think, from the Sarr conversation because I don't think that's at all possible. Sorry, back to your comments here. No Cap says, I take Monk and Keon Ellis for JK and Moody. I don't think I would. I don't. GSW says Al Horford considering retirement. He is. That's what Sham said earlier. The options, according to Sham, seem to be the Warriors, the Lakers, or retirement. Now, don't know if you guys have seen the latest report here from Mark Stein and Jake Fisher on the Stein line, which I think is a positive update. Quote says, all signs for the record continue to point to Al Horford landing with Golden State, ... eventually. So I think the hold up here is, and Brett Siegel of Clutch Points outlined it really well in his article earlier today, where he was talking about, well, if the Warriors sign Horford now to the mid-level exception at 5.7 million, will they hard cap themselves at the second apron? And then if a team like the Nets suddenly said, well, we can get Kuminga like straight up because we know the Warriors can't go into the second apron in order to re-sign him. Like the Warriors put themselves, if they were to sign Horford before they resolved the Kuminga situation, they would put themselves in a position where they can't go above the second apron to re-sign him. So they put themselves at the mercy of other teams not coming in and potentially throwing up an offer that would make it impossible for them to match, like literally impossible because of the rules, CBA rules in the second apron. So that's why, to me, and why I'm still optimistic that this Horford thing will happen, is because I think there's a handshake agreement, and the Warriors are just saying, as I said 24 hours ago, the Warriors are just saying to Al Horford, we just cannot officially sign you. This can't be reported as official by Shams or anything until we resolve the Kuminga situation. And you're just gonna have to bide your time. Like the contract will be there, 5.7 million mid-level exception. That's going to be there, but we just have to be absolutely sure we know what we're doing with the Kuminga situation. Too much as Monk and Ellis is honestly a fair package. For Kuminga, straight up it is, but the Warriors can't really, I don't think they can actually do that. Divide says, our bed not retire, bro. If we don't get a center, it's wraps. We're actually, if you look at the center market, we're kind of, I know it's sad to be pinning all your hopes on a 39-year-old who's played 18 years in the league, but if you have a look at the center market, it ain't pretty. It ain't pretty. And I don't know what the Warriors would do. If the Warriors don't get Al Horford, we'd probably be left with like Chris Boucher. And is Chris Boucher a starting center for you? I don't think so. Josh says, I think we can get Alex Sarr. This interesting Alex Sarr optimism. I don't know where that comes from, but yeah, interesting. Too much as I'm not sure why the Warriors are being so stubborn. I hope they don't overplay their hand in this one. Gucci says Alex Sarr plays like Lauri Markkanen. Well, even if that was the best version of him, which it could be, he's extremely talented. Don't get me wrong. Why would the Wizards give that up? Sarr plus the 2030 pick for JK. I can promise you that the Warriors are not getting Alex Sarr and a pick for JK. Absolutely not. If they get Alex Sarr for JK, that's unbelievable. GSW says Wizards won't trade Sarr. Absolutely not. I'm just having a look here. TF Mills. Sorry, just trying to catch up on your comments here. GSW says Keegan Murray is realistic. I think it's actually kind of a win-win trade, but I just don't think the Kings see it like that. I'd be okay. I think the Warriors have 1 second-round pick to use. Just throw the Kings a second-round pick. Give them JK and a second for Keegan or something. TF Mill says perhaps Kispert, Tristan Vukovic, and reclaim the 2030 pick. So just had a guy message me before. I haven't even replied to him yet. And he said, AJ Johnson, Corey Kispert, and the Warriors 2030 first-round pick back for Kuminga. Who says no? That's, to me, the absolute obvious trade would be something around Kispert and getting the 2030 pick back. Because obviously, so the Warriors gave up their 2030 pick to the Wizards in the pool trade, but it is 1 to 20 protected. So it's top 20 protected, which means it'll only go to the Wizards if it's 20 to 30. However, it does complicate matters a little bit. If you're looking, you can trade that pick and say to whoever you're trading it to, all right, you guys get it if it's between 1 and 20. Otherwise, it goes to Washington. But again, it gets a bit complicated. So if the Warriors just got that pick back entirely, then that allows you to be a little bit more flexible, I think, in further moves. So we'll see that to me, because Kispert makes 13.9, $14 million. Kispert makes $14 million. Even that is a little bit, he's actually on a declining contract too, which could prove valuable, but yeah, that's probably the deal. I'm looking at the other guys I've got here: Bub Carrington, Keyshawn George, again, AJ Johnson. I'm not like Sarr. Again, Sarr works financially. Rashawn Holmes, the Warriors aren't going to want. Marcus Smart, Malcolm Brogdon. Brogdon's a free agent now. Poole is, well, this is the payroll before the Poole trade. Anyone up from Sarr, basically, the Warriors won't do financially, except for Kispert, who's at 14. That's the most obvious one to me. But even then, it's difficult to actually reach Kispert, given like the Wizards would have to hand Kuminga a pretty significant contract. So I don't know. But yeah, I've already had someone mention Kispert, AJ Johnson, and the pick back for Kuminga. Josh says, I think nobody's safe. Even Alex Sarr is number 2 pick because Luka also got traded. Yeah, I know, but man, I don't. Yeah, I'm not sure. I'd be shocked. I'd be legitimately shocked if the Warriors got Alex Sarr. And because even from a Warrior perspective, like if the Wizards came to you and said, yeah, we'll give you Alex Sarr for Kuminga, like Mike Dunleavy, you'd be thinking, okay, cool, we get a pretty strong asset, but like, does that really help us for what we're trying to do? Do we end up on trading that at some point? Like, it's bizarre. Looking at Corey Kispert's numbers just quickly. So he's been pretty consistent over the last 3 years. Last season, he was 11.6 points, 3 rebounds, 1.7 assists, shot 36.4% from 3-point range on 5.4 attempts per game. Did he not go the pick before? Did he go the pick before or the pick after Moses Moody? I think he was the pick after, because didn't it go Duarte at 13, Moody at 14, Kispert at 15? Where's his draft info? He's 26. Yeah, 15th overall. Interesting. Look, the Warriors could do with a guy who can shoot the ball pretty well at 6'7". He's got some defensive limitations. It's just such a meh. Like, it's funny because the Warriors would actually, like Mike Dunleavy could come to a press conference and say, okay, we got Corey Kispert here and our 2030 pick back. And it's like, well, yes, technically you got a promising player and a first round pick. So you've actually ticked that off from what you wanted. But it's Corey Kispert. Like, is he that promising? He's like 26 now, so he kind of is who he is. And then the pick, well, you're just getting your own pick back that was top 20 protected anyway. So it's not like you're getting a real first round pick for him. I don't know. It's just such a meh deal to me. Like, if worse comes to worse, I'm not gonna absolutely hate it, but I'm not gonna be thrilled about it either. Like, Kispert's just like another Moody to me. And like, you can always have guys that are 6'7" and can shoot. I get it. That's valuable to a degree, but how much does he play when you've got, like, I think the Warriors should be going into next season hoping that Moses Moody and Buddy Hield are both playing off the bench. Like, how does Kispert get a role in that then? I don't know. Too much as for Miami, I think Nikola Jovic is intriguing, but not sure if that's enough of a return for JK. Yeah, I think Hackers would probably be involved in that as well. No Cap says Sarr is not good. I'm a huge Poole fan and watch the Wizards a lot. He's not good at the moment. He's not. And this is the thing. This is why the Warriors would be sitting there thinking he's a second overall pick just over 12 months ago. He's an asset. Like, he's a valuable asset, but he's not a valuable asset to winning in the short term. And like, what do we do in that scenario? It'd be like, you still get Horford. Horford's just like, because imagine telling Alex Sarr that you're going from Washington, where you can basically throw up as many shots as you want per game, where he played 27.1 minutes per game in his rookie year. He started every single game in his rookie year. And then he'd be going to the Warriors and you'd be like, all right, Alex, You're now playing behind a 39-year-old Al Horford. You're probably going to be competing with Quinton Post for minutes as well. As weird as that sounds, Quinton Post being the 52nd overall pick, Quinton Post is also 25 years old, so he's more developed than Alex Sarr is. And you're telling him, all right, you're probably going to average, like, you're not going to start except for nights where Horford's resting, and you're averaging 18 minutes a game. Like, if that, like 15 to 18 minutes, something around that range, after what he did in his rookie year, averaging 27 and starting every game for the Wizards. It to me, it would just be like, it'd be like trading Kuminga for another version of Kuminga, just at the center position. It'd be like trading for a potential James Wiseman. And that's the thing with Sarr, is I think he's what he becomes in the league is still quite, like, it could be anything. I'm not saying he's going to be Wiseman. I think he's already better than Wiseman. He was an all-rookie first team this season. But those efficiency numbers are pretty disgusting. Bill Wilborn says Trey Murphy's on a rookie contract. False. He got an extension. So he's part of that rookie class from 2021. He already got his extension. Trey Murphy's making like 25 million next season. Trey Murphy. That contract looks really good for the Pelicans, mind you. I'm not sure why they'd want Kuminga and a bunch of picks. He signed a 4-year, $112 million extension, which he makes exactly 25 next season, which again, like, that's impossible to match with just Kuminga. Now, could you do Kuminga and Moody for Kuminga, Moody and picks for Trey Murphy? Would you do that? Maybe that gets you in the conversation. Too much, as I don't think Sarr moves the needle. Rather have Horford for now until we find a more permanent solution down the road. Well, I think you'd still bring in Horford anyway. And then TJD probably be a case of thanks, but no thanks. We'll look to move you. Maybe Kuminga goes, TJD goes with Kuminga to Washington for Alex Sarr. But yeah, I think if you've got Horford, Sarr, Post, then that's probably your center rotations definitely sorted. But like, just Alex Sarr, like, I just don't see the Warriors looking at him and thinking, yeah, great. You know, that'll help Steph Curry, Jimmy Butler, and Draymond Green win next season. I'd be happily proven wrong. And particularly, like, if he could just shore up some of the shot selection stuff on offense and just not be looking for his own shots off the dribble and taking off the dribble threes and all this stuff. If he just got rid of the bad shots, like, and it's like the Kuminga conversation. Could he buy into a role? Could he buy into a role? Because the guy averaged 1.5 blocks per game last season. Like, he did some stuff defensively, which was elite. He's 7 foot tall, big wingspan. Like, he's got some real traits. And so there's the potential of, like, yeah, he could fit into a role where he's like this rim protector, shot blocker on one end. He can hit it an open three on the other end. Great. That's exactly what the Warriors need. But it's like all this other stuff with Alex Sarr. I don't even know why we're talking about him that much, because it's not going to happen. Sorry. All right, let's get back here. Divide says, I don't care what you'll say. Kuminga is nothing but problems for Golden State, bro. He needs to go. Josh says, when is the deadline of trade? I hope we can trade JK before the deadline. Well, the deadline ain't until next February, so there's plenty of time. Mr. Level says, Thomas Bryant. Yeah, I don't think I want Thomas Bryant. He's an unrestricted free agent. Obviously finished the season at the Pacers. Had some moments in the playoffs, but not really interested. GSW says, Al Horford's still a great pickup for starting center, insane experience and IQ. I think he'd be excellent. And it's not, right now, it's not just Al Horford's value within himself that makes him an excellent signing and almost a must-have signing for the Warriors. It's almost like the other alternatives as well. It's just like, it's such a dire situation in terms of the free agency market for centers that if it's not Al Horford, there's a big drop to who you could get after that. That's not a potential trade. Like, you'd have to then give up assets in a trade. So in terms of free agency, yeah, it doesn't look pretty after Al Horford. Too much as that makes sense. I think Horford is on board pending the JK situation being sorted out. The Lakers re-signing Jackson Hayes is perhaps a clue because they were also after Horford. Yeah, that's what I'm hopeful of as well, that they've got Ayton and Jackson Hayes. Now, a lot of Lakers fans would say, well, Jackson Hayes is a third string. We don't really want him playing minutes, and we'd still prefer to have Ayton-Horford combination, which I think would actually be quite good. Obviously, they can't really offer Horford the same role anymore now that Ayton's there, that the Warriors potentially can. And again, maybe them re-signing Hayes, as you said, is an indication of their pessimism in terms of potentially being able to sign Al Horford. No Cap says the Nets have no one I want either since they traded Cam Johnson. If I'm the Nets, I just wouldn't have any interest unless I could get him at a reasonable contract in an outright signing, and the Warriors aren't going to do that. So I'm just not sure the Nets are a prospective team here. Gucci says J.K. Moody healed for Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, sign Melton, and Lillard. Man. J.K. Moody and healed for Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. And you'd have to throw in a bunch of picks, all fantasy basketball right now. Absolutely. Nothing's off the table. Warriors haven't been able to do anything yet, so we might as well try and do something for them. Rancuno says, waking up in the news, you see it's just rumors, normal Warriors fan experience. This is the problem for me. Like, I literally stayed up till 1:30 in the morning last night, which was 1:30 in the mornings, 8:30 a.m. Pacific time. And I was just thinking, okay, maybe something's going to materialize here after the Kings rumors from the night before US time. So I'll stay up. The cricket was on, Australia, West Indies. So I was like, all right, I'll just watch this and just stay up, see if anything happens. And then by 1:30, 2 o'clock, I was like, nothing's going to happen. I'm going to sleep. Too much as Cam Johnson with Denver is going to be a problem. Love what they've done in free agency so far. Absolutely. Jesso says Kuminga will be an all-star IMO eventually. Rancuno thinks Al will retire. Maddie says Kispert. Yeah. Cool. That's the one that makes the most sense. Again, I don't love it, but like, again, if you're Mike Dunleavy, you're like, well, we got a promising young player and a first-round pick if they get the 2030 pick back, which it's not really the same, but he'll argue it. Divide says, if we don't get Al, we're not winning the chip, especially the way teams are stacking their roster. It's just Raps and Kuminga just a waste of space for Warriors bros. Like, we're done. I'm not sure Al is going to get us into the championship conversation either, but he would be a big inclusion, I think. Particularly, again, even more so based on what the alternatives are. Mr. Level said, I heard Melton to the Lakers. So many of these guys, like, there are some valuable free agents left, but I think a lot of these guys are just getting stung by the restricted free agents. And like, you got Giddey, the Quentin Grimes situation, Cam Thomas. It's like, what are we doing here? Like, guys, like even look at a guy like GP2. Like, I would have thought maybe GP2's off the board by the end of day 4 of free agency. I don't know. There's part of me thinks GP2 might be back on a minimum with the Warriors, and he might be like a Horford situation where it's like, we're just got to wait until the Kuminga thing plays out. Too much says, I know he's a difference on the defensive side, but feels like a lot for Herb if his main thing is defense. Well, Young Wes, I think was Young Wes's proposal. Oh no, that was Gucci who said J.K. Moody healed for Herb Jones and Trey Murphy. All right. It's hard to get anyone in the 13 to 15 million range without Buddy somehow getting moved. True. Got to add 3-4 first to get lucky to get Herb. Trey. Absolutely. S says, at this point, we have to accept that Dunleavy doesn't know what he's doing. He traded Clay for nothing. If he did that for him, we're getting absolutely nothing for Kuminga. Well, that's just completely false. I mean, Clay was an unrestricted free agent. Clay had the right to leave to go to Dallas for nothing or go anywhere for nothing. And the Warriors actually conjured something out of that and said, all right, we'll make the best of a bad situation and get Buddy Hield and Kyle Anderson out of it. So the Warriors actually, they did well. They did well in that 6-team sign and trade. GSW says, except Kuminga is restricted and Clay wasn't. That's the big difference. If Kuminga was unrestricted, this would have been done at 6:01 after Franchi opened at 6 o'clock. Like, would have been sorted by now. GSW says we either keep Kuminga or get a solid sign and trade or even trade during the season. I think that's a possibility, re-signing him and just saying, look, we'll just work out a trade at a later date when your full salary is going to count. No Cap says, I wonder if it's possible to trade Poole and not get a player back and get a trade exception. Trade Kuminga, you mean? Yeah, trade JK and not take a player back and get a trade exception. Yes, but I'm thinking I'm sure it's possible, but again, the trade exception is probably still only going to be half, I'd assume. Berserk Monk says Kuminga could also just accept the qualifying offer and then just literally walk away for nothing. He doesn't have to do the sign and trade if he really wants to spite the Warriors. Talked about this yesterday. It's a bad situation if he accepts the qualifying offer, but it's a bad situation. Don't get me wrong, but he would have to come back and play well next season. Like, he couldn't just tank it in and say, I'm accepting the qualifying offer and I'm just not even showing up to training camp. I'm not playing for you guys ever again. Like, he couldn't do that. He wants to get paid still. And his only way of getting paid would be to come back to the Warriors and doing an audition for the 29 other teams to show, hey, I'm worth $30 million a year. Like, that's what it would be. Bill says, my bad on Trey Murphy rookie contract, but yeah, I'd still want him even if you had to throw in Moody and someone else and a pick 2 if necessary. Curry and Murphy, dream backcourt, absolutely. Rancuno says, a 3 of Steph, Jimmy, and Trey Murphy that'd be something. Rancuno says, I'm starting to hate JK's attitude at this point. He hasn't proven anything and thinks he deserves something. Shame on Joe Laggard for empowering him, to be honest. I'm okay with a player trying to get as much money as they can. I'm like, anyone in any workplace, like I'm okay with them trying to get as much money as they can. So this is not a JK issue too much for mine. It's simply the Warriors and what they can potentially get for him here, really. And if they don't get something of value, then keep him. Bill says, so Kobe White, Keegan Murray, or Trey Murphy shoot for the stars. Get one of those guys. Maybe Kobe the easiest to get. Yep, and I'd agree with what you just said there. Kobe would be the easiest to get. K Dashlin says, Kispert, a second rounder, and our pick back for JK, then trade our picks for Walker Kessler. I just don't think Kessler, didn't Walker Kessler do this thing at the end of the season where he just started jacking threes, which was just the most tank job ever. Like, let's just let our guy who's never shot threes before shoot threes. But yeah, he averaged 0.6 3-point attempts in the year. And what did he shoot? 17.6%. I'm just like, I like Walker Kessler, but again, Jimmy, Draymond, Walker Kessler front court with just no shooting there whatsoever. Like, I'm not sure that works. So I'm just not sure he's as valuable to the Warriors as what he would be to other teams if he's truly on the trade market. Like, what are some of these games in March? He shot 1 of 6 against Minnesota, 0 of 5 against Chicago, 1 of 6 against Washington, 1 of 8 against Cleveland. Man, if that's not that's unbelievable tanking. That's almost bordering on illegal, where the NBA should just be like, hey, hang on, there is no way this guy should be taking these amount of threes. FTW Clan says, did you see the joke of a trade offer for Kuminga from the Kings? Go and watch yesterday's live stream. We talked about it for an hour and 20 minutes. It's the most disgusting trade offer in the history of trade offers. Muhammad says, is Derek White no longer on the table, can still offer a haul? I don't think he's on the table unless, again, you offer a haul. And I'm not even sure how the Warriors would match salaries in that situation. FTW Clan says, I would want at least Keegan and Monk. I'm not sure you're getting both. Cody says, I just hope Horford doesn't retire. Fingers crossed, Warriors need him. Bill says, just say no to the Wizards. The issue is, like, I'm not sure. So the thing to me is Kispert and getting your pick back, is that more valuable than just having Kuminga sign the qualifying offer? I think it would be. So that's why that's actually a package that, if worse comes to worse, the Warriors would probably say, I think we prefer this over letting him walk in unrestricted free agency next year. As much as I don't really like that offer, unfortunately, I could see them accepting it. Bill says, what happened to GP's defense? This wasn't the same last year. Devise says, I'm 1,000% sure if we get our, we win a chip. Like, bro, did we watch last year just a healthy Curry in center? Yes, we could have almost won the chip this season. Absolutely. But the West is just going to be insanely, even more insanely competitive next year. Like, you're looking at Houston now, you're looking at Denver reloading. You're looking at the Spurs are going to take a leap, you'd imagine. Other teams looking to make a jump. So the Warriors of this season have to be better again next season. And with an aging trio, I'm not exactly sure how that happens, but Al Horford could be part of that plan and trying to be better, even though he's 39 years old. Chris says, I hope Dunleavy is working as hard as you are. Keep up the great therapy pod live chats. Appreciate that, Chris. Cody says, do you think Warriors will try to trade for Wiggins? No, because it would take Kuminga and Moody, and I'm not sure they want to give up both of those guys right now. I've always said about Wiggins, it's like if you want Wiggins back, just try and re-sign Kuminga to a similar deal, and then once Kuminga becomes trade eligible, just trade him to the Heat for Wiggins. Like, if both parties are interested in that. Bill says, tell me what you think a JK for Kobe White would look like. Who includes picks? Warriors? Probably. I'm not sure they'd want to include a first rounder, but I think the Warriors, I think we only have 1 second rounder, but that's what I'd probably look at. Mr. Level said, they said Kessler is available for 2 first-round picks. Yeah, I'm just like, again, Walker Kessler is a valuable young player, but he doesn't stretch the floor. And, I mean, you could say the same about Alex Sarr shooting 30% from three-point range, but I think Alex Sarr's more of a threat as a shooter than Walker Kessler is, who, again, has never shot threes apart from when the Jazz were just tanking at the end of the year. And, again, I just think the Warriors absolutely need a stretch 5, and that's why they're going after Al Horford so hard, and that's great, fantastic. But then, like, what are you going to have trade for Walker Kessler and have him as a backup? No, like, you're going to have to give up assets for him. He's going to be a starting center. Him, Draymond, Jimmy, it's a no from me. Rancuna says, interesting. So you like Ben Simmons just scamming the league and asking for contracts with his terrible playing behavior. I mean, if you can get, like, that's the job of an agent, to try and get the best deal for his player. Like, it's, if you can try and scam the league, like, I'm not trying to be disrespectful here. He's a beloved player, a legend in Golden State Warriors history. But I would argue that Kevon Looney just scammed the Pelicans into a 2-year, $16 million contract. Like, in what world is Loon worth $16 million? I'm sorry, he's just not. Like, he flat out just isn't, I don't think. And so, again, I've got no, like, I saw the tweet today. It's like, how is Duncan Robinson worth a 3-year, $48 million contract and Gary Trent Jr.'s like 2 years, $7 million contract? How does that make any sense when Gary Trent Jr. is arguably better? And like, some of this stuff is just, it's weird. But at the end of the day, like, I've got no issue with agents trying to get the best deals for their players and being willing to hold out a little bit for that. If they've got to wait for it, then so be it. Rancuna says, anyhow, I just want the front office to get something done. Please please do something already. The issue, I'm just going to finish up here in a couple of minutes, guys. I'll finish off your comments, but in terms of the thing with the Kuminga situation is the Warriors aren't going to make subsequent free agency moves until they resolve the Kuminga situation. And so what I would say is to everyone that's frustrated about the Warriors not doing anything right now, just understand they're not going to do anything. Like, Kuminga is going to be the first domino. Like, they're not going to do anything until the Kuminga situation is sorted, till they exactly know what their financials look like. And at the end of the day, would you rather them rush into a bad Kuminga trade or wait another few days, another week, another 2 weeks, and make a good Kuminga trade? So that's what you got to remember, is that you can be absolutely, like, I understand the frustration of the Warriors and having not made a move here for over 72 hours since free agency open. But would you prefer them to rush into a bad deal or take their time and get a good trade? Like, because you could say, oh, well, the Warriors could have taken the offer the Kings did yesterday, and then you could say, "Oh, the Warriors did something. They did something. They got something." But then at the same time, we'd all be like, "That's the worst trade in the history of trades, getting Sarr, Carter, 2 second-round picks." So there has to be a balance here between, yeah, I understand the frustration of them not doing anything, but I understand they're not going to do anything until Kuminga's solved and fixed, and they know what they're doing there. And then obviously, you want them to try and get the best possible deal in a Kuminga sign and trade. You don't want them to rush into a bad trade. Bill says, I know it's crazy thought now, but could the Warriors try to acquire Lowry after last year's fiasco? Not at $45 million. Not unless they're willing to trade Draymond or Jimmy, which I just don't think they are. Rancuna says, does Joe want to be under the luxury tax or will he go all in? Why isn't he going all in for the final years of Steph? No, they'll be in the tax. Yeah, I don't think there's any worry about that. Mr. Level maybe is ready for post-Steph era. K. Dashland, we did go 73-9 starting Draymond along Bogut, though sometimes having a 7-footer just parking themselves in the dunking spot and setting screens works. Okay, so 73-9, that was 2015-16. That's a long time ago. And I think the spacing and the need for shooting is far greater than what it was 10 years ago. And I would also say that, and I know Harrison Barnes had a terrible, terrible final series in 2016, but having Steph, Clay, and Harrison Barnes as your 1, 2, 3 alongside Draymond and Bogut is far different to having Steph, Pods, and Jimmy. Like Pods and Jimmy. Like if you're basically replacing Clay and Harrison Barnes with Pods and Jimmy. So in terms of the shooting between those two pairs of players, again, Clay and Harrison Barnes, far better combination of shooters than Pods and Jimmy. So for those reasons, like I just don't think you can get away with like Steph, Pods, Jimmy, Dre, Walker, Kessler. Like I just don't think that's happening. Mr. Level says too, it was a different NBA back in the mid 2010s. Absolutely. Matty says, why so much desperation for a stretch 5? Bogut wasn't a stretch 5. Neither was Looney or Azili or Zaza. Just the reasons I just laid out. And like Jimmy Butler is on the team now, and I'm sorry, Jimmy doesn't very rarely shoots threes and doesn't really shoot a great percentage when he does. And you still got Draymond there who teams are going to leave wide open. That's why you need a stretch 5. That's why Kuminga doesn't work. That's why Kuminga doesn't work as well. So Johnny says everyone will be gone before JK is traded. Perhaps. Yes, perhaps. But like how much do these other guys show patience? Because again, like a guy like Melton, like Horford is evidently sounds like he might be waiting for the Kuminga thing to finish up and be solved. Melton maybe too, GP2 maybe as well. Like there's some guys here that you'd think may have been signed through the first 4 days that haven't. So No Cap says what's scarier is Slater saying they're going to meet during Summer League to discuss his future. I don't want them to bring Kuminga back. That was them meeting prospective teams. I don't think that was Kuminga and his agent Aaron Turner are in search of a situation, blah, blah, blah. There's a tentative plan for face-to-face meetings between Kuminga and prospective suitors in Las Vegas during Summer League, should the process extend that far. Surely these, like, I don't know, man. Like, surely these meetings should have happened already. Like, you don't have to do it face-to-face, do you? Like, get on a Zoom call. Do something. Like, why are we waiting until Summer League starts? Bizarre. Like, come on. James Ham came out tonight and said that it would be a shocking upset if Kuminga isn't a member of the Kings before the end of the weekend. Yeah, he works in Sacramento, doesn't he? I'm not sure I'm taking that as gospel. Good luck to him though. Josh says, I hope tomorrow the Kuminga trade will be done. I'm with you guys. Like, I would like a resolution sooner rather than later, as the Warriors would as well. But we've all got to understand, like, it's better to wait and get a good deal than just rush into a bad deal. William says, I understand the wait, but what if there is no available free agents and now Horford gets picked up by other teams? Well, I think I think Horford would know. Like, what's the rush for Horford to sign a contract now? Like, yes, I get it. Like the further it goes, the more he could change his mind. I get that. But yeah, I'm not like I think if the Warriors have just said, yeah, we're going to give you the contract, we just got to have to wait. Like I think he's old enough and professional enough where I just don't think he's going to care too much. Johnny said Milton. I heard he's going to another team. The interesting thing to me is like, so if the Lakers were interested in Melton, why hasn't he been signed yet? Like that'd be a simple one to me. Just sign. Is that because they're interested in Horford? Is that because the Warriors are interested in Melton and bringing him back? But again, that doesn't want to, like, Melton's the one to me where I'm thinking, okay, and again, I'm just throwing this out there, but are the Warriors interested in Melton? And again, it's a situation like Horford where, because this is the thing, the Warriors have 9 players on their roster currently, 9 players contracted. So if you get one player back, like let's say the Kispert deal happens, you bring one player in for Kuminga, that's Kispert. Okay, well, that's 10. They still have to fill the roster. So I wouldn't be surprised if that Kuminga deal happens and they say, bang, Horford straight away, that's 11. Bang, Melton, that's 12 straight away. Bang, GP2, that's 13. Something, they're not going to get Melton and GP2. But you know what? Like, that's what I'm saying is I think there could be deals done, like free agency deals lined up. And once the Kuminga domino falls, Horford happens straight away and 1 or 2 more signings happen straight away. Bill says Jones for JK. How do salaries match up? Good. Yep, can happen. Divide says, I understand you, bro, but I'm so tired of the bull that comes with Kuminga. Yeah, I get it. Pizzette Monk says, I wonder if JK's $22 million cap hold is preventing any deals from happening. Yeah. Schnoer says, I will say the Kings side of it will likely play out depending on what Jonas Valanciunas decides to go overseas or honor the trade to Denver. I think the trade's still going to happen. It's just Valanciunas and Denver have to decide what's going on with him there. But that trade shouldn't involve the Warriors because there's no way the Warriors should be taking Dario Saric. Like I'm looking at that trade. I'm thinking, cool. I don't care. Like there's no way that the Warriors should be getting Dario Saric back. Rancuno says, I think Melton wants to play again for Steph. Seems like he liked it playing. Yeah, like it fit. It made sense. If you're trying to rehabilitate your value again, why wouldn't you do that? Clayton says, you think it's more likely to get Kispert or Herb Jones? Unfortunately, I'd much prefer Herb Jones, but I think more likely Kispert, just because I think like the Pelicans, I'm not sure are going to be willing to give up Herb Jones for Kuminga, as I'm pretty confident that if the Warriors said, yeah, we'll take Kispert for Kuminga, I'm very confident the Wizards would be like, yeah. Kimasabe says your audio is glitchy. All right, I'm going to finish it up there, guys, if that's the case. Schnoer says JK is going to be involved in what is being called a 7-team deal, all based around the Durant trade. It's why they said they expect JK to be traded by Sunday. I think that 7-team trade is just about the picks and stuff that the Warriors did last week. I don't know. We'll wait and see. I'm going to finish it up there. Thank you very much to those of you that have tuned in. If you haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel already, that would be greatly appreciated. You can follow me at POC252. That's POK252 on X/Twitter. Let's see what happens in the next 24 hours, and I might be back for another live stream potentially at the end of day 5 of free agency. Let's see if the Warriors do anything. I'm not counting my chickens. Don't think they necessarily will, but let's keep our fingers crossed. Thanks again, guys.